I think one thing that I have always taken like very inspiration from is let me get it right here, is the lighthouse.
Ah,
I always say that my stream is like a lighthouse, and I kind of got this term when I was streaming during COVID. You know, a lot of people, their lives were very gray, and a
yeah,
lot of them, you know, a lot of people in some very dark times. I feel like my stream is that beacon of light, you know, that's a beacon of hope that people need in their lives to just understand that it's, you know, keep going, and you just gotta, you know, you just gotta keep doing your thing. You
yeah,
know, my stream is that beacon of hope and that beacon of light to just prove to you that, you know, it is gonna get better,
yeah.
and you'll find your way eventually. You know.
Welcome to Tarkov, a podcast for content creators to come share their stories, experiences, and advice. And today I have Gino. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Gino. It is a pleasure to be here. Let me tell you, all the greats, you know, before me. I feel honored to just even be, you know, in the same call with
Oh,
Tardux here.
dude.
So,
Thank you so much, man. All
yeah,
right. So what we do with the pod is we get started with 3 random questions. So are you ready?
mhm. Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
ready. I'm
So
good.
when you were growing up as a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Pilot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pilot.
Nice. All right. A favorite thing about where you live?
Oh, that's a good one. I love winter. I love the
Yeah.
cold. So the snow, you know, we have really nice summers and we have really nice winters. So it's one of those things where I love the weather.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, give me the 4 seasons, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, you know, like at, tail end of summer, you get that chilly fall night, and it's just you throw on a sweatshirt,
It,
and it's
yep.
nice. Yeah,
I don't like the heat. You know, I
yeah,
hate the humidity, and I could not stand living in a place where it's only heat. You know,
yeah.
that's just not me.
No, I need I need a different season, man.
Yep,
Totally.
exactly.
All right, so you're going out for out to your restaurant for something to eat. What are you getting?
Mm.
What's your favorite meal?
I think that all depends on where I'm going, but I think my favorite meal of all time is the chicken parmesan. You
Oh,
can't go wrong
dude,
with that, you know.
absolutely. Yep.
You can't, you know, a lot of mom and pop shops around here because we don't have, you know, main brand
Yeah.
restaurants around here. So, mom and pop, you know, they do hella good, you know, chicken parmesan.
Yeah.
So,
And the thing about the mom and pops, when you get the chicken parm, it's good for like 2 to 3 meals.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. You can heat it up for a few days, you know, and
Oh yeah.
it is great. It is
Absolutely.
great.
All right, so welcome to stream. So let's start with what did you do before you hit that go live button? What's your background?
Yeah, so I actually love explaining my background. So this is a wonderful question. Before streaming, I actually played 6 years of semi-professional Counter-Strike. I
wow.
started when I was 13. And so about a year or two into that, I played, you know, Counter-Strike, and then I realized I could go like semi-professional. I played a like lower, you know, lower level Counter-Strike, not, you know, your big Cloud9, Team Liquid, like all
Yeah.
of those teams and stuff like that. But I played at a lower level at them, and that's what I did for 6 years.
Wow.
And then one day I just quit my team and I lost all motivation, but I didn't quit because you know, they were bad or whatever. It was honestly the attitude that the community had.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's why I do so much positivity and like spread that positivity nowadays. It's because Counter-Strike was such a terrible like time for me when it comes to like egos and
Yeah.
attitude and a bunch of that stuff.
Oh,
So
wow.
I started streaming, and instead of, you know, focusing on, you know, the negative and stuff that, you
Yeah.
know, my teams did and everything like that, I've just, you know, started the positivity
Wow.
train, you know. So that's why I started streaming, and
Nice.
that's why I have a little bit of good aim in game.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Now, where did video games start for you? What were some of the early games?
So this is actually a story that a lot of people don't know about. In Modern Warfare 2, when it first came out, I was actually top 2,000 at the time at
Yeah.
the age of 9.
Oh my
So
God.
I was really good at Modern Warfare 2. I was doing really, really good. And I just started gaming from there. I think I gamed before that on like a Game Boy or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's the GameCube. I don't know if you've ever heard of a GameCube.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
rare nowadays, but
I'm
the
50, so
GameCube.
I've got
Yeah.
stuff, I've got
Well,
stuff here that's older than you probably.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But for the people that might not know, the GameCube was basically one of those things. It's kind of like a modern or a past gaming system. It's like your Xbox, but it was good. I played that with a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't allowed online for a while
Yeah.
with my parents and stuff. And then my grandfather bought me an Xbox card, like an Xbox Live card for a month.
Yeah.
And I think it spiraled from there,
Nice.
So it was wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. So you were one of those kids that we hated, playing
Yeah,
Modern Warfare.
100%.
Who the
Yeah. Well, I even still say that as stream. I feel bad because I'm playing this game for a living and people coming home from 9 to 5s and they're just getting jumped out on balconies from me. I feel really bad.
Yeah. Oh, man. So now, looking back over the years, what were some of your favorite games you really, dug into and enjoyed?
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 has got to be up there. Modern
Yeah.
Warfare 2, in my opinion, was my favorite game of all time. There's going to be nothing that comes close to that.
Yeah.
Black Ops 2 was good. A lot of the CODs that I played were just great. They were wonderful. So I'd say most of the CODs. I didn't really have games outside of it. Counter-Strike. I'm trying to think. Madden. I played a lot of Madden growing up.
Yeah.
That was great. But other than that, most of the mainstream games I enjoyed back then. So nothing like Tarkov back then. So.
And now, have you jumped back to COD at all and seen if you still got those quick reflexes?
Yeah, so I dropped back into the newer one.
Yeah.
I like it, but I no hate the COD, but it's a factory. It reminds me of like a factory produced item. It's meant for the quantity, not quality.
Yeah.
So the newer CODs I just can't really mess with nowadays.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are. At least to me, they seem like they are, kind of watered down versions of the past CODs, and I just haven't enjoyed them since Ghost.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite COD would be Black Ops 2. That was the great story, and we would do some of the maps on that one, like Hijack was the boat one, and I
love that. Yeah,
dude. We would do gun game, but the gun game was if you got stabbed, you got set back 10 paces. So we would have gun games that would last for like an hour. And it was just like, oh, dude, yeah,
That's
those are
awesome.
good times. Yeah.
Did you play zombies?
I didn't
assumed
get
you played
into zombies. No, my son loved zombies. I just couldn't get into it.
I love zombies.
Yeah.
Black Ops 2 zombies were my favorite.
So now, when did you jump from console to PC? And because that's a big adjustment, going from a controller to mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, 100%. So like I said, I think, age of 13, I started Counter-Strike. So that's when I got my first computer. It was a really run-down computer at the time, but, it worked, right?
Yeah.
So before that, I actually played on a laptop on the trackpad.
Oh,
so,
shoot.
I was not that good, though.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and say that I was some beast.
Yeah.
I was not good. But I played on the trackpad, and then I got a PC. And the first game that I played was Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about that now thinking about it. But I played Counter-Strike. I got in the Arma a little bit.
Yeah.
But the transition was kind of easy for me because I think at the age that I was at, it's easy for me to pick up something.
True.
Like if I picked up a sport at that time, it would have been easy to pick up a sport, know? So I think that's what happened with that. Yeah, I think I picked that pretty easily.
Cool. So now you said you jumped into streaming because you got sort of burnt out on Counter-Strike. So what was that first streaming experience like? You fired it up and, you had strangers coming in and...
So I streamed, I should have mentioned this before. I streamed a little bit beforehand, but it was just to my buddies in high school. They wanted to watch me play Counter-Strike. So I kind of had an idea of what was going on. I would stream on holidays and stuff when I was playing Counter-Strike. And when we didn't have team practices and stuff like that. And that was fun. So I think I had a little bit. So it wasn't like I was just going straight in the Tarkov and streaming that. But when I did start Tarkov, I must admit it was very, very scary.
Yeah.
Especially, it was almost intimidating because it was at the time where Tarkov was truly like kind of blowing up. I started back in early 2020, so it was around that time where HK meta, foul meta, all the OGs of Tarkov remember that, right? And I think that's something where I was really intimidated streaming. I felt like there was just so many people already streaming and that I wouldn't be able to do anything. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid of that, especially with nowadays there's a lot of streamers compared to players nowadays. But it was very intimidating, and so I went into it with just hope and dreams that maybe one day I'd do something. But I did it for the people. Like that's what I did it for. I just wanted to make people's days better. And then I mention this to stream all the time. I went through a little bit of a heartbreak thing back then, and I think it motivated me because as sappy as it might be, I felt really alone at that time. So I streamed because I didn't want to feel alone. And then I realized that a lot of people also felt alone at that time. COVID starting, a lot of people were in their bedrooms, just no social interaction.
Right.
So it allowed me to kind of be that guy that kind of stepped up to the plate and hey, it's gonna be okay, and just continued on from there. I never wanted anybody to feel the way that I was, the alone way that I felt.
Yeah. Well, and it's really cool. Like I've had a bunch of people on who've been doing this for years, and the community that's grown from just those people going, streaming live, and we're talking friends that have been they've turned into friends over 5 years, 8 years of streaming. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the best feelings as a streamer, I feel like, is seeing your community kind of grow, not in like a monetary value, but seeing sub badges, for example, right? 13-month, 14-month sub badges when it felt like that man subscribed yesterday, and it's like, it's wonderful because it feels like a sense of growth, it feels like you're doing something right and somebody wants to support you for that long. And it was really, really good.
Well, and then also the other aspect of this is, if you're one of these streamers that is, you're community focused, a lot of interaction back and forth, you almost end up being like that, that local bartender guy. People are coming in and you everybody's stories, and it's a warm place to be.
I like that. Yeah, it's great. I love the atmosphere that my stream provides, but I will say, I think it's I've mentioned this before. I think growing as a creator like myself is a little harder just because of the fact that I focus interaction and I focus, chat over the game. And I'm not saying other streamers don't do that. I'm just saying, a lot of streamers are really good and I'm not. So, it's very hard to grow in a from a positive standpoint because, in a world nowadays, a lot of people I feel like a lot of wrong people are in it for the clicks and the interactions, and it's one of those things that I don't really do that. I don't really get into a lot of those clicks, those views and stuff like that. Kind of just do my own thing, and it's been very hard to grow, but we're doing our best.
That's excellent, man. Yeah, because sometimes you see the people who are trying to do either they have a gimmick going or there's just straight up head cracking, and that's what gets people to drawn into their streams. But it can be tough to do it just positivity and just a interactive community.
Yeah. Exactly, and I think something that you should also mention is the way that people come in. People will often come in when they're having a bad day. Yeah. So when they're not having a bad day, they'll go to somebody else, and that's okay. I want them to do that. But it's one of those things. It's just really hard to grow with that.
Yeah. And now since you first went live, what's been some of the highlights that stick out for you?
I love these questions. I love getting to ask questions. Probably the number one moment is my mom getting a PMC kill. It's pinned on my Twitter. A lot of people have seen it. I think that's one thing that I will always cherish. My mom getting a PMC kill is one of the greatest moments of my life. So definitely that.
Awesome. And now, so what do mom and pops think? Do they understand that this is a career and because some people don't you're just playing video games. Why is somebody watching you?
It was very hard to convince them even when I was playing Counter-Strike for 6 years. When I turned 16, I could have went and got a job at Subway, but I told them I kind of had a vision with this, and I think one way that really opened their eyes was when I took them to a tournament called ESL 1 New York, and it was it's a Counter-Strike tournament for people that don't know, and it was in Brooklyn. in the net stadium, I believe. So
Oh, wow.
it was in one of those stadiums, and
Yeah.
we went there, and they realized how huge it could be. You know,
Yeah.
these players are making hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and they're salaried. And I think that's when they kind of realized that, like, I could do this. You know,
Yeah.
I could make it. If I do make it, I can make a lot of money. And I think that's something where my mom never told me to get a job.
Yeah.
My mom, has always supported me in a sense of, you know, take it at your own pace.
Yeah.
And when I started streaming, it's funny because I told her, I was like, I'm kind of retiring from Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
She freaked out. She was like, you put all these years of, your life into
Yeah.
this, and like, what are you going to do now? Are you going to get a job? And I was like, I'm going to try streaming for a little bit and see
Yeah.
where that takes me. And that's when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so my parents took the executive decision to take me off for a year
Yeah.
of college, and it's been uphill ever since.
Oh, wow.
Haven't looked back, and
Yeah.
the stream really did well. And I think one of the greatest moments was showing my mom my first paycheck. I think that was the
Yeah.
greatest.
That's awesome.
That was so awesome, man. Just showing her that I could
Yeah.
do this. It really meant the world.
Oh, cool. And now, if you were back on the college path, what were you taking? What do you think you would end up doing at the end of college?
So it's funny. What I was going to do in college is actually what helps me now is graphic design. I do a
Okay.
lot of my thumbnails. I do all my emotes. I do, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was going to go to college to kind of do some graphic design. I was going to go to community college,
Yeah.
do some, see if I could get a job there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest, I took 4 years of graphics in high school.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have really broadened my skills that much in college, especially, a community 2-year
Yeah.
college. But that's what I was going to do in college. I was going to
shoot.
do graphic design.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've learned more now just by, learning
Right,
stuff and
yep.
kind of doing it myself, than college could ever teach me, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Well, because you're in real world now at this point. You're seeing
Yeah.
like you're making your logos, you're making your thumbs, you're seeing
Mhm.
what's taking off, what's
Paying
not.
taxes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, totally. So now, since you went live, what are some of the hardest things about, sitting in that chair and playing video games? Because it's more
Mhm.
than that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think something that's not talked about enough with streaming is mental health.
Yeah.
And that's something that I try and always advocate. Mental health is really, really important. And so with mental health, I think one of the things that's underlooked is how we have to maintain a positive attitude the entire stream.
Yeah.
If we don't, unfortunately, we suffer.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where if I'm having a bad day, and bad days are pretty common, the past probably 2 years or so.
Yeah.
Just because, anxiety and growing up and stuff, it's just been a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard some days to, maintain a positive attitude. And then you get on a game like Tarkov where it's already
Mhm.
difficult and, you don't really want to do anything besides live, and you aren't living. So Tarkov is one of those games that definitely sends you down the gutter, right? So
Yeah.
I think maintaining a positive attitude and maintaining a good mood the entire time is one of the hardest things for me as a streamer.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think we talked earlier. Nobody wants to watch a content creator or streamer who is in a bad space because there's
Yeah,
so many more
exactly.
people I can go to and be in a good mood and watch somebody else.
Exactly. Yep. And it's weird at times because there are some people that I feel like do well. There's been a lot of people recently on TikTok and stuff that have done well by, promoting negativity. And I think I'm always going to stay true to my roots. And, my mom has always taught me, kindness over everything. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that's very important to me is to stay true to myself and allow myself to truly not dwell on the negativity and kind of just, move on with the positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, what is your Twitch partner story?
Yeah, so I think I really started doing well late 2020
Yeah.
when COVID was kind of at its peak. It was winter time, so everybody was inside.
Yeah.
And COVID, nobody was really going out. Everybody was working from home, it seemed. And it was wonderful having so many people come in, needing, just somebody wanting to talk to. And it was great. And I slowly started to gain a community. The year of 2020 actually averaged 20 viewers. The year before that, I didn't really stream much, but I averaged 4.
Yeah.
Then I got 20 viewers. and I was like, wow, this is great, you know.
Yeah.
In 2021, I want to say wipe happened around Christmas that
Yeah.
year again.
Mm-hmm.
I think something like that happened, and it blew up. My TikTok blew up. I think that's the one thing that really helped me get
Yeah.
partner was TikTok. It allowed me to kind of get a lot of people in at once.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I hit partner in March of 2021.
Yeah.
I think April maybe. And I was at my grandmother's house when I got it.
Oh, wow.
I got the email and I was jumping up and down. My mom was jumping up and down, but my grandmother was staring at us like we're crazy.
Yeah.
And it was great. Drove home in the bed. Like that was the best drive of my life,
Oh, nice.
driving home when I got the email.
Yeah.
I think that's just something that really meant a lot to me,
Yeah.
especially being able to share it with my mom
Yeah.
was something that was really big for me.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed from all the people I've talked to on the pod is the people who are succeeding. They've got a great support infrastructure around them. Whether it's a spouse, whether it's their family, it's just a safety net that lets you take that risk, that step forward, and if something happens, they're there to support you.
It's content creation. I said this actually the other day on stream. Content creation is very lonely.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it gets very lonely at times. You work a lot and you do a lot of things to where you don't really need somebody else. So, you spend time alone. And it gets really lonely in the Discord call at night when you're just, sitting there editing videos.
Yeah.
And it's very important to have somebody like that, a support system. And somebody that tells you, on those bad days, don't give up, keep going, right? Those are the best people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it is all you. It's every just like there was a great video on Netflix with about a tennis player, Marty Fish, he was one of probably the first big name professional athletes that basically suffered anxiety at the peak of like the U.S. Open, his quarterfinals against Roger Federer. And he basically pulled out because the anxiety got him to the point where he shut down. Yeah. And then the whole thing was just about him talking about dealing with it. And, and likewise with content creators, you guys are all alone. Your decisions are all, you can't just, if you have a bad day, you can't rely on a teammate or a coworker to pick you up that day.
Exactly. You can't, it's a very lonely field.
Yeah.
You're in it for yourself. And especially nowadays, I feel like a lot of people are in it for the monetary value, which I don't really necessarily. I mean, I'm not gonna front and say that I'm not in it because it does pay my bills.
Right.
IRS does talk to me.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that monetary value is important to me. But there's a lot of I feel like a lot of. How do I say this in a very nice way? I feel like there's just a lot of people that are in it for the wrong reasons, and they'll act like your friends when they're not necessarily your friends, and it's even more lonely when you realize that you can't really necessarily trust a lot of people, that's why you got to find the right friends, find the right partner, and just keep going on with your content creation.
Yeah, this past Christmas or drop time, I heard some stories, and it was just it's kind of sad to hear, but that's life. It's just the way it goes.
It's a competition.
Yeah,
that's streaming. Like I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It is a competition. You're trying to do better than somebody else, and you can compare yourself to others. But I think something that I take into heart all the time is the only person that I'm trying to be better than today is myself yesterday.
Yes.
So I do know comparison is the thief of joy. I do no such thing as comparing myself to other creators, and I try and do my own thing.
Yeah. And the other aspect of that sort of loneliness aspect from a content creator, if you're just if you're like just you and your community, you're not having any human interact or sort of it's really just
physical
chat. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And it's if you're doing that grind 8 to 10 hours a day, it takes an effect on you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm a very social person when it comes to I'm shy when I meet somebody IRL, but when I truly get down to know them, I'm a very open and social person.
Yeah.
I'm very funny or just very ecstatic, to be there, right? So I think that's something that I don't get from streaming is that physical aspect,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that's always very important to me. But unfortunately, you can't really have that with streaming. So I
Right.
try my best to hang out with friends outside of stream to
Nice.
kind of get that.
That is so important because I think sometimes people get so focused on I need to be on stream. If I'm not on stream, my viewers are going to go down, and you need that
Yep.
separation.
You do. It's all a balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, what if somebody was going to hit the go live button for the first time? What are some of the things you would suggest to them? Some advice.
Yeah. So I think one thing is the number one thing I probably would tell people is go into it with no expectations. I feel like a lot of people nowadays see all these, they see Dr. Lupo or they see Pestilli and they see, oh my gosh, you're doing really well in life, and I think one thing that a lot of people need to stop doing is kind of like looking at it as a job, like from when they're just starting. Because the truth is, you're going to go downhill mentally.
Yeah.
If you look at all your numbers and you wondering why you aren't doing well. And I think that's very important. Is going into it with no expectations. Go into it, have some fun, see if see if you can have some friends that you can game with.
Yeah.
Sit down, just game and see if it takes off. I think streaming is not for everybody. I think that's something that I should mention. I think that's very important for a lot of people to hear. It's not for everybody, similar to how being a nurse is not for everybody or being a doctor is not for everybody. Streaming is not for everybody, and it's all just testing. It's all just testing like what you want to do.
Yeah.
And truly see if streaming is for you.
Yeah. And that being said, it doesn't mean you can't be a part of a community if you don't stream. There's other ways. Just create your YouTube content, create shorts.
Exactly.
Be part of communities. Try to be a mod, or there's just so many different ways you can be involved.
Yes, 100%. There's so many different ways that you can, or so many platforms you can upload nowadays. I've seen so many creative videos on TikTok. I've seen so many creative videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's also all those new platforms coming out. Like you can do things on Patreon if you wanted.
Yeah.
Like there's so many great ideas out there, and it might not be for you, but you might as well try it out.
Yep.
You only live once, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And now, speaking of other platforms, so you said TikTok was a big aid for you to bring, get your viewers over. What other, what is your sort of content strategy? Do you post to all platforms?
Yes. So I post on all platforms. I do probably, sorry, I have this monitor on sleep mode apparently. So it will go black sometimes, but, yeah, so I do a lot of different platforms. I do YouTube. I do YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
I do, which is a big one. YouTube Shorts, get in there, creators. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Shorts is really good right now. TikTok is a big hitter. And Instagram, I used to upload. I don't really do Instagram nowadays just because, kind of been taking a break from it.
Yeah.
It's not really a fun platform right now for me. So.
Yeah.
I don't really go on Instagram. Twitter, I upload like two videos a week, tweets here and there. And I just try and keep people in the loop, Discord is one. Discord seems to be going around towards like a platform route rather than, a voice chat or like a voice chat and stuff like that. But Discord is one that I always upload like little snippets and stuff in my Discord as sneak peeks and stuff. I upload a lot everywhere.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of scheduling to help with that.
Nice.
So I have time outside of stream. You can upload YouTube or you can schedule YouTube Shorts. A lot of people don't know that you can actually schedule TikToks, which all you have to do is just go in the browser TikTok. You can schedule it.
Yeah.
And I think I schedule like 10 days in advance, so I have 10 days to kind of do my own thing and, kind of play with friends at night rather than, scheduling and editing, right?
That's a good idea. And now when it comes to like the YouTube Shorts, the TikToks, is it like you create the one video and you go to both, or do TikTok get different content than what you could do on YouTube?
Yeah, so my YouTube videos, my main YouTube, the Genooo channel, that does long form videos. We do full raid Fridays, which are just like full raids that like were crazy that week.
Yeah.
Like for example, I had one this week where I had like an 8 kill interchange raid, and then I fell off the map in the middle of the map. Sneak peek. So that's one of the raids that we're gonna do. make a little thumbnail for it, and go my way. Sunday highlights are just Sunday highlights.
Yeah.
So after this, I'm just gonna go, get a thumbnail done. I do have an editor. I should mention that. I don't do all my work. My editor hits me up every Sunday morning, tells me how many TikToks I got for the week. I download them. And then when I upload the TikToks, I put them into a short folder.
Yeah.
And then the short folder, I put all the shorts into my YouTube shorts. So it's basically, kind of like a recycling system, you know? So I go from TikTok folder to shorts folder, and then the shorts folder to like reserve folder or whatever, where I have all my past TikToks. And so that's how I do it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And now how would you describe the Genooo stream or the Genooo community to people? If they're coming in for the first time, what are they expecting?
I think one thing that I have always taken like very inspiration from is let me get it right here, is the lighthouse. I always say that my stream is like a lighthouse, and I kind of got this term when I was streaming during COVID. A lot of people, their lives were very gray, and a lot of them, a lot of people in some very dark times. I feel like my stream is that beacon of light, that's a beacon of hope that people need in their lives, to just understand that it's, keep going, and you just gotta, keep doing your thing. My stream is that beacon of hope and that beacon of light to just prove to you that, it is going to get better, and you'll find your way eventually,
Okay. Cause that's I think on your Twitter, you have an icon, or, part of your brand is there's the lighthouse there.
Yeah. The stay safe, stay positive lighthouse.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. All right. So now let's talk about, so you started in the sort of Counter-Strike competitive. So how would you describe that? How did you end up getting involved with a team and doing the tournaments and things like that?
Yeah, it was difficult. There's a platform for Counter-Strike. It's still around. It's called ESEA.
Yeah.
There was one called Face It too, but Face It was kind of like pugging, basically just random matches and stuff like that. And so ESEA was more so team-based, and so there was a league in there, and I think there's like a recruitment ad on there. So to find my ads or to find my teams and stuff, I would go on there, find a team that way. But I actually did not mention this. At the age of like 14 or 15, I made my own esports organization. I had 11 teams all around the world, like contracted to just like, the salaries were terrible. I was 14, right? I couldn't pay them much. But we had 11 teams from all around the world. So I kind of had an idea on how to, kind of find people, and I knew how to kind of like get in a team if I needed to. So it was very hard, right? A lot of tryouts, a lot of, trials that you had to go through with the team. A lot of question asking, interviewing. But other than that, I found some really good teams along the way, and I just kept going.
Oh, shoot. And now, what were some of the highlights of, being a pro Counter-Strike guy?
I think it's kind of like asking a retired, NFL player, what's the best thing about football? I think the team environment is 100%, they were basically friends, they were family at that point, right? We would play every night, practice every night. When we weren't playing Counter-Strike, we were still probably in a Discord call together. And I think that atmosphere of, douching back and forth between your buddies is just, top notch, right? No matter the game. So I think that's one of the best things that I miss about Counter-Strike is the team atmosphere.
And now, I always hear about, we're, from the esports teams, they're practicing. When it comes to a practice, like, what are you, like, is there a format you guys are doing, or just playing different maps?
So it depends on the team. I was, a bunch of different teams did a bunch of different things. But the way that we did it is, probably the first hour of the night. So we started every day at like 8, ended around 12 or 1-ish. So we did long practices. It wasn't, just some hour-long practice. So the first hour we went in. If we had a match the day before, we'd go back in the VOD, watch it kind of like a football match, just go back and watch, see the mistakes that we made, rotations that were off, smokes that were missed, whatever. And then we would go into a private game. We would throw smokes and, practice strats because, we had a game plan, right? We named all these strats, and we had like this playbook and stuff. So we had to go in and kind of learn the different playbook and, what smokes I'm going to be throwing.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that I switched around positions a lot, because in Counter-Strike there are positions. I was the opper for a lot, which is the sniper of the team. But the last team that I played for, I was a support, which means that I was kind of like backing up the entry frag, the guy that went in.
Yeah.
I was backing that guy up with flashes and throwing nades in. So I had to practice a lot of different angles and stuff, which you can actually find if you are curious. You can actually find in my YouTube. If you scroll all the way down, you can find some like smoke lineups that I used to do and stuff like that I learned.
Oh, cool.
So the hour of that was just in a private match, just throwing smokes, learning strats, getting to know things. And then we would go in the scrims. We would play other teams.
Yeah.
We scrimmed Shroud's team twice.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't Cloud9 when he was playing Counter-Strike then. It was actually a team called Old Man's Club. And he created that with nothing back in the day. They were like an open team. They basically were a bunch of retired pro players. They kind of continued on in open and stuff. And so we scrimmed them twice. They demolished us twice. So I probably shouldn't tell you that, but
that's a good good thing that I'd like to ask is like, when you see like, pro players, you wonder, hey, like pro sports players, like, is there that much of a difference? And it's like same, like when you played Shroud, like, was it like night and day? It's like
so one thing I should mention is, as a like semi-professional player, some of the hardest people to play against were low levels. And I don't mean that in a wrong way. They were just unpredictable. When we're going into a team game, we're expecting a team fight. We are expecting a strat of some sort. I can't really predict, a Silver, jumping down from a balcony and, dropping down on me. I can't expect that, and they were the hardest players to play against. But I will say there was a reasonable difference. Like, you could tell Shroud and Nothing and all of them were pro players at one point. You could tell 100% that those guys were them. They were the guy. And every time we would play a team that was in a different division than us, we could tell that they were just better. Now, we were winning against them sometimes. We were, taking them down. It's all a team game, right? So if you can outplay them team-wise, it was good. But you can definitely tell. Pro teams, like, we played a few pro teams in some qualifiers and stuff like that. And I want to say we lost like 16-2, 16-3. We lost, like, got demolished every single time we played a pro team. And I'm telling you right now that they're on another level. And I know a lot of people watch and they're like, you know what, maybe I could kill him. No, you're not. No, I'm telling you, it's really, really difficult. And it's something that I think a lot of people just don't realize how good they actually are.
So now, with all that being said, with Streets, not Streets coming, but with Arena coming from Tarkov, are you getting excited for that? That maybe some competitive aspect, like putting something together with Evasion, or?
So I can't say anything as of yet, but I can say that my decision of making or trying to join a team is 100%. I can confirm that I'm going to try and compete, whether that be professionally. We'll have to see where the game goes. It all depends on how the game comes out. But I can confirm that I told Stream multiple times that when this does happen, whenever that might be, I will be trying to compete in it. And I'll be trying to be a professional player in that, because I think I have the experience. I think I have the aim. I'm still young. I still got the reflexes and stuff, right? So I think that's something that I'm going to try and do 100%.
Oh, cool. So now let's lead into Tarkov. What was your path to that game? How did you end up finding that?
So this is a weird story. When I started video games, I think something that always amazed me were graphics. I love the graphics in games. And one thing that always amazed me, and this is weird to tell you, but I've told so many people now, what always amazed me was like tree graphics and grass graphics. If it, like foliage and stuff, truly seeing, if you could hide it in, the grass, like the long grass, right? And I saw Tarkov and I was like, like Tarkov, you can hide in long grass, you can hide in bushes, you can hide in trees now. It's one of those things that it's wonderful. Like, it's really good graphics, and the foliage really caught my eye, and I started it, and I've been playing it ever
Yeah.
since. You know, so I think that's something that really pulled me into the game.
Yeah, yeah, because I noticed, like, I think the first, I don't know, the first 6 months I was playing the game, I was in the grass, and I would like move forward, and it's like, oh my god, the grass is between me,
Yeah.
my eye, and the scope. I was like, that's really,
Yeah, it's
not
really
just,
cool.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you 100% there. Oh, that's great. So now, what was the hook the game had on you?
I think the way that the game was, there was
Yeah.
nothing out like it. You know, it's still nothing out like
Right.
Tarkov, you know, and I think that's something that really caught my eye was, you know, there was nothing like this game. And there was a game that I think Counter-Strike made me mad, but I think Tarkov makes me 10 times madder.
Yeah.
You know, there are times in Tarkov that I genuinely like hate the game,
Mhm.
and I would definitely go to Twitter about it. You know, I don't,
Yeah.
but there are times that I want to go to Twitter about it. And I think that's something that really, caught my eye when it came to Tarkov was how mad it would make me because 6 years of Counter-Strike, right? I kind of lost my emotion with video games,
Yeah.
and I don't like. It sounds weird, but I was very like when I would play other games, I didn't really get jump scared, or I
Yeah.
didn't really get necessarily go into other games and have a blast with them. And
Yeah.
Tarkov was the first game that was like, wow, I'm having a lot of fun and it makes my heart race, you know?
Yes.
So
Yep.
I think that's something that really caught my eye when I started Tarkov.
Yeah. Yeah, the pucker moments, like there's no game that makes you pucker like this. Like your heart gets racing.
There isn't.
You know, whether you're
Yeah.
through interchange by yourself and you see a 3-man walk by you, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, that's
There is nothing like it. Literally nothing like it.
And now, what was some of the hardest things to learn playing this game?
I think one of the hardest things to learn was that's a good one. I think one of the hardest things to learn was extractions. I
Yeah.
think extractions when I played Counter-Strike, I was only on one monitor. So I didn't have two monitors and I couldn't look at extractions. So that was the hardest for me, but I think over the years, I think the hardest thing to kind of get down pat was gun recoil and learning it, and especially when they're changing it constantly. It's very hard to learn it. You know, with Counter-Strike, they've had the same spray patterns for 23 years. You know what I'm saying? So they aren't changing that anytime soon. So it was one of those things I could get in Counter-Strike, learn the spray pattern and get that down pat. But Tarkov, you can't really learn that, you know, especially when they're changing it and stuff like that. I think that's something that I still struggle with daily is learning the recoil pattern and truly learning what is good and what isn't when it comes to that type of thing.
Yeah. And now for people playing the game or thinking about getting into the game, what kind of advice would you give them to where should they start?
I think you should start in offline. There's a lot of good settings right now for offline. When I started, I don't even think there was offline.
Yeah.
So take use of that, you know, go into an offline raid, see what you can do. I would maybe turn off scavs, learn the extractions. You know, it's the exact same as the same game. You just go in, learn them, and then when you feel like you want to hop in your own raid, you know, do so. But I think that's something that a lot of creators, or well, a lot of people just don't tell you. I think one thing that Tarkov you need to learn from is your death. And one thing that I think a lot of people, like I just said, don't mention is it's okay to die. Okay. My first wipe, I think I had a 10% survival rate. Get into the game. If you're going to get into the game, understand that every death you can learn something from it, whether it be ammo or what gun you were using or how you played it. You can learn something from it. And I just want you to like truly take every single death. If you're a new player, take every single death as a learning experience and see what you can do with it. You know, see what you can learn from. And I think that's one thing that I've really been mentioning recently, and I think that's very important for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and even, you know, I've been playing, I've got thousands of hours and I die, and it's like, yep, I know what I did. I shouldn't have ran. You know, it's just, the game will punish you for the mistake you make. And it's quick to call cheat or desync, but it's, you know, a lot of it is just how you approach an engagement.
Yep, I tell my chat all the time. Tarkov is the biggest shoulda, coulda, woulda game. You know, you could have done this, you would have done that. You know, it's the biggest game where you can say shoulda, coulda, woulda after a death. You know, so it's something that you got to learn from it. You know, you got to learn from your experience.
Yeah. So now with the new patch that we got dropped in, around Christmas time, what's your take on it? Are you enjoying it?
I like it. Now, I have never been somebody, I think the last time that I was like this was Reserve.
Yeah.
And when Reserve kind of came out, I felt a connection with it.
Yeah.
You know, I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. But I think one thing that I've learned with new maps in Tarkov, especially nowadays, is that they're liable to change. You know, so I've only played probably a dozen raids of streets, right? So I think that's something that I just don't fall into is like the hype.
Yeah.
I like the new gun. I like all of the new stuff. I like the changes.
Yeah.
I think the patch is one of the best patches besides all the bugs, which happens all the time. I wish people sometimes I wish people would go back to August 2017 when I started in the first 3 minutes of the raid. You were moving on your screen, but scavs weren't moving. Everybody was disconnected, and it was like a light switch. The game would turn on, and everything would move at once, and it'd crash your computer. Yeah. So at least we don't have that anymore. Knock on wood, of course. Yeah. But I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand is how rough Tarkov was. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's not rough now, but there are a lot of bugs right now that do ruin the game and stuff like that.
Yeah. And now, how do you approach a new wipe? What is your strategy? Do you go for quests? Do you just try to get a certain loadout and go there?
I think questing is my number one thing. I got to get the pocket watch before everybody else, you know? So I think questing is number one. I go in with pistols early wipe, you know, because not everybody else is going to be kitted. So I go in with pistols. Don't really lose a lot of my gear early wipe. And then when I start to kind of get some gear in my inventory, I'll start taking it out, taking backpacks. But questing is 100% what I focus. Every single wipe now for the past 3 wipes, it seems like I've got to like level 34, the level right before the thick items case, item. I get to level 34 and I stop questing, and then I let myself get 35 by just raid experience and stuff like that, and I stop questing. So I have not done a quest in a few weeks now. Not because I don't like doing them, but with how long I've been playing, it's a little repetitive. Yeah. There's not really a way that they can change that. I know there's new quests and stuff that have come out, but they're nothing compared to, there's not like a pocket watch new quest. There's not like a new pocket watch quest. So I think that's something that's it's just gotten repetitive, so I don't really do them.
And now, do you play the game mainly as a solo, or do you squad up often?
Solo, 100%. 98% of my raids are solo. If you come into my stream, you'll more than likely find me solo. Yeah. And I'll be honest, with the growth recently on TikTok, there have been a lot of people that have come in and like, Geno, can we play a raid? And I hate saying no. It's very hard to say no. That's why I have community days. Yeah. That's why I, allow myself a day, to play with everybody and try and get people in. But it really is hard saying no. And I've always been a solo person. Yeah. I don't have anybody to blame, afterwards, which can be a good and bad thing. But I've never been somebody to really enjoy playing with others. Now I do because of content creation and how many good souls there are out there. But other than that, if I'm just playing the game to have fun, I want to play solo,
Yeah, this game has shown me how bad we are as communicators. When you play with a 3, 4, 5 person squad, it gets crazy.
It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's something that I learned from Counter-Strike. I was, for a little bit in Counter-Strike, I was the IGL, the in-game leader. Yeah. So I would make the calls, I'd make the, I would make the playbook and stuff. Yeah. I think that's where I got, all of my communication skills from when it comes to Tarkov. Yeah. Is, Counter-Strike. It allowed me to kind of sit back, relax, and, call out things to where my teammate can understand. And one thing that's definitely hurt that is going solo for so long, because I haven't got used to talking to people and stuff like that. But I think that's something that I try to be really good at, is communicating, because I realized how important it was in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, I had Pest on a while ago, and we talked about how Tarkov is sort of the perfect game to stream, because you have your sort of pre-raid, you have your going in. When you're in raid, you're sort of focused on your mission or your task at hand, and then when you come out, it's back interacting with chat.
Yeah. I think Pest hit, nailed it in the nail in the coffin, or whatever, the saying is. Yeah. But I think it's perfect. I think I think one thing that a lot of people don't, or a lot of people do talk about, but one thing that something that Pest might not have mentioned is the community. You know,
Yeah.
the community is just wonderful.
Yes.
It's by far nothing compared to Counter-Strike. And I know, you know, with a lot of people coming in nowadays, it's been a little toxic here and there, a lot of drama.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, everybody's so supportive of each
Yes.
other, you know. And I think Tarkov is a perfect game to stream. Even when I'm in raid, you know, I play Shoreline a lot. I jump out of balconies.
Yeah.
And that run to Shoreline allows me to talk to chat so
Right.
much, you know. Even if I am in a raid, I feel like it gives me like a prime opportunity to, you know, ask how people's their days are
Yeah.
going, or, you know, start a poll, or, you know, what I do a lot is say, you know, really crazy food takes, you
Yeah.
know, and everybody freaks out, you know, like how could you say that? You know, it gets political in there, you know.
Oh, shit.
So that's definitely something that I love about Tarkov
Yeah.
is how much downtime you have in a good way, you know.
Yeah, because like in COD or Fortnite, you don't have, I guess, just run, die,
Yep.
or
Run, die. Yep.
and you don't have those moments of like, okay, you know, let me kid out while I'm kidding out. I'm looking at chat, and it's just, I think the interactions you get are sort of better that way.
100%. I fully agree with that.
And now part of Evasion, right?
Yes, I am a part of Evasion. I am a Evasion member.
Yeah.
I was actually, you know, not to flex or anything, but I was a part of Evasion when they actually. So I forget who it was. I feel really bad forgetting. But back in, I want to say September 2021, I got I was doing a similar podcast with Sigma with her streamer class.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and then afterwards, she calls and she was like, "Hey, you want to be a part of Evasion?" I'm like, "Well, I've been watching Evasion members since I started. Like, what do you mean? Do I want to be part of Evasion? You know?" And I think that was it was just a wonderful moment. You know, I told my mom afterwards I was freaking out, right? But the reason that happened is that they actually lost a member. They actually used to have 10 original members.
Yeah.
When they started Evasion, I believe, and then one of them, I forget who it was. That's why I feel so bad. They kind of left, I believe.
Yeah.
I think they left on their own terms, and Sigma had an opening, so she decided to ask me, and I've been grateful ever since. You know,
Oh, man.
a lot of people have now come into Evasion, which is wonderful. We
Yep.
have a lot of great content creators in the team right now, and I'm so excited for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're all good people. You know, I've had a whole bunch of the Evasion folks on. I've had Sigma on, and it's just everybody, you know, again, all of the people in the back end that run the tournaments and the events, they're all volunteers, and they're all bought in. They're all, you know, it's like a family.
One of those things again, man. The community is just great. You know, you would have to go pay people, you know, in cheeseburgers in Counter-Strike if you wanted to get volunteers, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. The community is so supportive. There's a lot of people that just genuinely love each other, you know, love, you know, content, and it's great to see. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. So now do you stream any other games, or Tarkov is really your main game?
Tarkov's my main game.
Yeah.
Now I am waiting for the right opportunity. I think if a game comes out that because over the years in Tarkov, I still love the game. I still love streaming it.
Yeah.
But that feeling of, you know, my heart racing, I don't really get that anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just because it is my job now. I do play it for a living, so I'm almost forced to play. Even though, you know, like I just said, I still love the game. It's a great game.
Yeah.
But I don't get that feeling anymore. And I think if I find a game that truly gives me that feeling, and it's something like Tarkov, to where I have some downtime and it's like the perfect game. I think I've always told myself, man, that I want to become the Pastilli in a video game. You know, I want to become the OG, right? The guy that creates all the videos, and I have the energy, I have the motivation to do it. I just need to find the right game, and I could do it with Tarkov, but there's just so many videos out there now, you know.
Right.
This quest, you know, these new quests, right? There were probably 8 videos out, you know, the date of the game releasing, and it's really hard to keep up, you know. And it's one of those things where I want to try and become a front runner of a video game, just like Pestilly did with Tarkov.
Yeah. Yeah, I know over the last couple of years we've had a couple of games, you know, scratch that or try to touch it with Dark and Darker, Marauders, The Cycle. To me, though, they don't scratch that itch. They come, you know, they're just not the same vibe.
Nope. I think I think one thing I can say for certain is that Tarkov will not be replicated, and I don't mean that it will like. I'm saying T for T.
Yeah.
I don't think it will ever come close to another video game. Now, if it does, it can happen.
Yeah.
But Tarkov is one of the games where you can't replicate it. You know, you can't create something just like it. It's not going to happen. And I think one thing that I always compare it to, we brought it up a lot already, is Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
And a lot of games tried to create like a first-person shooter like Counter-Strike. Now, Valorant is the closest one.
Yeah.
Some people will argue that Valorant's better. But, you know, nothing will beat OG Counter-Strike, you know? And I think Tarkov is the Counter-Strike of survival shooters. You know, I think there is going to be nothing that ever comes close. And if it does, I also think, I've said this before, I think competition is a good thing.
Yes.
You know, Android wouldn't be anything without Apple, and Apple wouldn't be anything without Android. And I think that debate, you know, Android versus Apple, has done a lot for them, those two companies, you know. And even if something does come out, and I've loved seeing, you know, Dark and Darker come out, and Marauders, and what was the other one? What was the Cycle? Yeah, those come out. I love seeing those come out, not because I'm gonna play it, but because it kind of pushes battle state a little bit. You know, it's like, oh my God, this game is coming out. Everybody's hype about it. You know, what are we gonna do? You know, it pushes game developers to do more. You know, it really does.
And now, you know, being a main Tarkov content creator, how, you know, because last summer it seemed like it was a tough time for a lot of people because the excitement for Tarkov dropped off quickly because that patch that we got in the summer wasn't really full of a lot of great stuff, new content and things like that.
Exactly.
And we saw a lot of content creators branch out and, you know, start playing other games, which I think is a good thing I
think as a streamer, it's incredibly hard to do so. Variety. I have never been able to take that jump, not because I don't want to, but just because it's really difficult. It really is. You'll notice a lot of the big streamers nowadays, they always started on one game. You know, they always started, you know, Shroud, for example, Counter-Strike went to PUBG. Summit. Summit's like the only one that I can think. He started a little variety like the entire time, you know. We you know, all those big streamers started on something. Landmark, you know, Tarkov, Pestilly, Tarkov, right? And I think that's something that's I've just been sticking through until I find the right game. You know, it was a really rough time last summer. A lot of hype around Tarkov diminished, but I think with Tarkov, one of the best things about it is that, you know, let's say the game does start dying, which I don't think it's dying whatsoever. I think it's really popular still. I think one thing that's just cool about Tarkov is that all they have to say is a wipe, you know, like, and you're getting majority of players back. You know what I'm saying? So just promise us some updates, promise up maybe a map addition, some new guns, some new armor, and we'll be happy, you know? So a lot of people will come back, and I think that's something that a lot of games can't say. You know, Counter-Strike, if it starts dying, you know, it can't really come out with something like it cannot come out with a new map, but it's not going to do justice like Tarkov wiping, you know?
And I think Battlestate does a good job balancing the social media, what they do on social media hooks into tying back to the game. You know, I think that's really done well for them.
100%. Their TikToks are phenomenal recently. They're hilarious.
And also how they, you know, sort of hint at things that are happening in game, like tying, like, you know, the story of Killa and Gluhar into, you know, what's happening in the game. And
I've never seen that. I've never seen, like, I've seen the Killa thing. I've never seen what Battlestate has done with the different stories. I've never seen, you know, we're going to wipe in a week, but we're going to not tell them until like a day or two beforehand. But we're going to have a weather event. We're going to have a forecast. We're going to make it, like, even the work that they put in making those screenshots, it just is wonderful stuff, you know? So props to Battlestate and props to doing that, because I've never seen a game do similar to that.
No, I think it's really well done. So now, how would you describe the Genooo community?
Very positive. I've kind of done a little, my main mod said this the other day, or well, the other week. He mentioned we've kind of gone through a roster change recently. You know, there's been a lot of people coming in and out, and we love them. You know, I don't have a singular hate bone in my body. There's no way I can hate somebody. I've always lived like a life of, people do things for them, and that's okay. Just got to do things for me, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we've done recently is allowed ourselves to find a very positive community, and I think we've gone through a lot of people, a lot of great people have come in and out of my life recently. I love it. But I feel like we've gone through a really good change recently to where just everybody is so positive.
Yeah.
When we have somebody come in for happy birthday, I sing them happy birthday. That's
Yeah.
what I've always done. But everybody says like feels birthday man in chat or happy birthday. Like that's just wonderful,
Yeah.
And if somebody's having a bad day, we lift them up with us.
That's good.
It's one of those things. And we're just a really positive bunch right now. It's great.
Oh, that's good to hear. So now, when you hit the, disconnect button for the day, what happens after? What are some things you like to do? I we talked a little bit like football,
yeah.
a lot of tweets from you on working out, going to the gym.
I was just about to mention that the gym has been a big one for me recently. So I probably end around 3-ish every day. I've been doing some night streams. Those have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Allowed to see some people that I don't really get to see while they're working and stuff.
Yeah.
But I go to the gym right after stream. Allow myself to get, that runner's high, that, that lifter's high or whatever. It's wonderful, man. You really feel good after a workout, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I'm going to continue to do. I work out for a few hours after stream. I get home. If I'm not streaming, I've been playing some Valheim with a mod of mine. That's been a lot of fun recently. And other than that, I try and focus my mental health. If I'm having a bad day, I tell myself to feel it. Don't put it aside. Right. Because if I put it aside, my stream's gonna suffer the next morning. So I truly tell myself to feel things. If I'm having a rough day, I'll get my, maybe some good food or I'll order out, and I really feel like a lot of creators don't take care of their mental health, and I wish I could tell them, take care of it, right?
Yep.
Because that's the only thing that you can do with streaming is, whatever you're guaranteed with streaming, you gotta maintain a positive mental health,
and clear mind and just
exactly. And I play games off stream, which is rare. If you told me that a few months ago, I wouldn't have believed you because I don't really play games off stream, but I've been playing some games off stream. I stream, spend a lot of family time, spend time with my mom, watch TV,
Nice.
Watch TikToks. I also am a huge avid of what I call vibe drives.
Yeah.
I go on drives, listen to really good music. Sometimes if I'm
nice.
in a sad mood, I'll listen to some sad music, allow myself to kind of feel things. Just go around driving. We have some back roads around here, My town is incredibly small, so we don't really have much to do.
Yeah.
But driving around, the back roads and stuff, going through different roads back in, basically cornfields, right? So it allows me to really, get my mental health right.
Yeah.
I love vibe drives.
Cool. And now what shows have you been watching these days?
Like shows as in like TV shows?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I don't watch a lot of TV. If I go in with, if my mom's watching TV, I watch whatever she's watching. So she watches, like baking, whatever that like baking tournament is, that show. She watches a lot of like diners, drive-ins and dives, all of that, that Food Network. She watches QVC from time to time, which I usually turn on TikTok. So I don't really like that. So I'll turn on TikTok, but if I'm in there watching TV, I'm more than likely on my phone or I'm playing
hanging out with mom. That's
exactly, right. Just having that atmosphere.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right. So what do you got planned for this year? Any goals you got you want to hit, or any trips coming up?
So my one goal that I actually want to see if I can work on today is exactly what we're doing right now is a Saturday morning Genooo podcast.
Nice.
And I think it's one of those things I'm really excited about. I want to put in a lot of time and effort into it. I'm never going to come close to Tarkov, let me tell you that. But I am going to try my best.
It's fun, man. You're going to have a blast with it.
Yeah, and I just love talking to people. I love social. Like, this is I love asking questions and getting questions asked of me. This is my favorite part, right? So that's why I was so ecstatic to come on here today, is because I love just questions to ask, you know? So the podcast is one of them. We have some big things planned this year. Become a business owner. Can't really, explain what that is. I'll keep that in the secrets. I'm pretty excited about that.
Cool.
We have some, things around the stream that we have to get done, update Discord, see if we can get Discord partnership, YouTube partner, all of that stuff. I think those are just, goals that I keep myself busy with.
Nice.
I think that's very important of content creation is allowing yourself to be busy at all times,
Excellent. Cool. Well, hey, Genooo. Where does the name come from?
So I kind of wish, I was kind of hoping you didn't ask this, but I tell it on stream all the time. It's terrible. So I'll tell the full origin story real quick. So I played Rust for a while before Counter-Strike or during Counter-Strike. I just played Rust in my meantime. And so I added a name called Extinction. And so we had a Rust clan. Me and my buddy, my IRL buddy, had a Rust clan. And we betrayed them one night because they were douchebags to us, So we betrayed them. And it was, a toxic little 13-year-old Genooo, right? Just, running around being a brat.
Yeah.
But we betrayed them one night. And so we got kicked from the clan, clearly.
Yeah.
We stayed on the server. And we actually joined another clan. And they were much nicer.
Yeah.
But the problem was we eventually allied with the clan that we betrayed. So we were friends with them.
Oh, okay.
So they were like... They kind of will know if you are on because your name.
Yeah.
And they were like, you might want to change your name. So we did some like identity theft in Rust, so I came up with a name and I saw it in Counter-Strike once. It's terrible. I know. Genocide.
Okay.
I saw Genocide and it's similar to Extinction, Extinction,
right.
All of that. So it's kind of like a synonym.
Okay.
So I changed it to Genocide. And then over the years, I realized how bad it was. And so I've just been, I went back to Genooo.
Yeah.
And you know how social media is. You can't get names for shit nowadays. No. So I did Genooo with 1 O, didn't work. Genooo with 2 O's did not work. Genooo with 3 O's finally worked. So
there we
that's
go.
where I got Genooo from.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, dude, you survived the podcast. And at the end of the podcast, I asked people to shout out somebody that probably should, they have a good story that they should come on the pod.
Well, I would shout out my mom. I think my mom would be a good one. But if I'm thinking of somebody, you've had a lot of people here. There are a lot of great people nowadays. But I think a good friend of mine recently that I want to shout out is Taylor, Taze GG. I think she has some wonderful stories, whether they're raunchy or not.
It's all
That's
good.
for you to decide. But Taylor is a wonderful human being. She has a great personality, and I think she'd have a lot of great stories here.
All right, we'll get her on then. All right. Well, hey, dude, thank you so much, and enjoy the Super Bowl today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.